Hey guys, MetalJesus here, and I am back again with a holiday gift guide, and I've got a bunch of really cool stuff to show you, covering pretty much every price point. I'm going to show you some third-party controllers, as well as a couple arcade machines. There's a couple grips here for handhelds, as well as a retro-inspired keyboard for your computer. I've got a device that will help you connect retro gaming consoles to your modern HD television. We have some retro gaming reading material, as well as some artwork that you can hang in your game room. And like I said, I think there's going to be something here for everybody. Let's take a look. Before we get started, I do want to let you know that many of the products in this video were sent to me for review over the past year, and all of the opinions are my own. Actually, not just my opinions, I've also got my nephew Will and his fiancée Nicole helping me out here. Here's something that I never saw coming when they were recently announced, and that is the two Super Pockets. These are the latest handheld releases from Blaze. That's a company that makes the excellent Replicade series of consoles and handhelds. Now you may be thinking, wait, I've seen a bunch of these cheaply, poorly made handhelds on Amazon. No, that's not what's going on here. These are designed for a more casual gamer, coming in at just $60. And they each include built-in games. Now one of these is designed for Capcom fans and the other is for Taito fans. But here's the cool part, they all support the Replicade cartridges, meaning, out of the box, each of these supports well over 400 fully licensed games. Now, if you're not familiar with Replicade and their cartridges, basically they release a bunch of different collections, each of them fully licensed, and they're only $20. And the cool thing is they cover arcade games, console games, and even classic computer games. Plus, each one of those cartridges comes with a full color manual. And you can see each of these handhelds is very similar in size to like the original Game Boy. Each of these features a 2.8-inch IPS screen. There's also a headphone jack and a USB-C charging port. And the cool thing is that Blaze continues to support and push out updates for the Replicade series of products, and they're going to do the same thing with this. So this will get future firmware upgrades through that USB-C port. So as you can see, the Replicade family of products keeps getting better and better, and at only $60, these are an easy gift to buy and recommend pretty much for any retro gaming fan. Now let's check out the 8BitDo retro mechanical keyboard. It's interesting because mechanical keyboards have definitely made a comeback. There's definitely some nostalgia there for people who kind of miss those clackety-clack keys. They have two versions of this. One of them is designed as the original NES, as you see here, and they also have one that's designed to look like the Japanese Famicom. This supports 3 different connection types. You can do Bluetooth, also 2.4G wireless, and you can do a wired USB connection. And I gotta tell you, first impressions here, it's very sturdy, very heavy. It doesn't feel cheap at all. Now check this out. Notice that there's a red A and B button at the bottom of the keyboard. Well, these are completely programmable, but they take it a step further. Check out this huge A and B button that you can attach to the keyboard. And this comes in the box. This can be programmed to be whatever you want. So some of the common things that people do be like copy and paste, or if you were in a game and you need to have a big red button that just fires off a health potion, you can do that here. Maybe an emergency eject button if you are in a flight simulator. And what's cool is you can actually daisy chain up to 4 of these. So like I said, one of them comes in a box, but you can buy another 3 of them and just go nuts. It would be pretty funny.
It feels really nice to type.
It does feel really good to type on it, doesn't it? I was using it as well.
It reminds me of the keyboards from the 2000s.
Yeah. And this typically goes for about $100 on Amazon. All right, I love me some Replicades, and the latest one in the collection is this Ghost and Goblins one. New Wave Toys has been making these really cool 1/6 scale replicas of classic arcade machines for a while now, and I have a bunch of them in my game room. You can see them here. Some of my favorite arcade games are represented here, including 12-inch action figures. They're the perfect size for it. It's incredibly nerdy, but I don't care. And the Ghosts and Goblins one is yet another faithful recreation of the original arcade machine, and it fits perfectly on your desk. However, they took things a step further with this one because it even comes with a fake power cable, and check this out. So it comes with mini coins, but you can actually use those in the coin slot to buy credits and play the game. That's something that they haven't done on previous ones that I own, and again, it's a really cool little touch. And this one comes with 2 games, so it comes with the original Ghosts and Goblins as well as the sequel, Ghouls and Ghosts. And like all the other ones, it also has an HDMI out, so you can plug the game into your big HD television and play that way, as well as additional USB ports, so you can plug in an external controller if you want, or you can even charge your phone or use it as a USB dock. And this typically sells for about $160, but I'll put links down in the video description below if you want to find out more.
No! It's nice that they can get you from the top, but you can't get them from there.
Next up are some of the latest grips from a company called Satisfye, and I personally have been using their grips on my Switch for probably 4 or 5 years now. The latest grip for the Switch is called the Zen Grip Ronin. Now, this is designed for the original Switch or the newer Switch OLED. What I've always liked about the Satisfye grips is that they put a lot of those little rubber buttons on the edges, which basically makes it so that the Switch feels really nice in there and it doesn't scratch it. So it doesn't move around and it doesn't damage it at all. However, the big feature for this new one is that it supports the dock. So I'm telling you guys, this is super nice because I'm the type of Switch player where I do play a lot of handheld, but then I also charge it and play on my dock. Well, normally you'd have to pull the grips off. You don't have to do that anymore with this one. With this, you just leave the grip on the Switch all the time, play it in handheld mode, and then put it on the dock when you need to. You don't have to pull it off anymore at all. They also have a version of this that comes with a really nice case, and again, it fits very nicely in there, very securely, and what's cool is that it supports up to 20 physical Switch games. So typically when I travel with the Switch, this is what I use. This costs $45 for just the grip, or $68 depending on if you want that case or not. And then they have another product here for the Steam Deck. In my opinion, the Steam Deck is already very ergonomic. It doesn't really need yet more bulk added to it. It's already fairly comfortable. But what this does is actually just adds kind of like a skin around it, almost like a smartphone. What they're doing here is adding a little bit better grip as well as better scratch and damage protection. Again, very much like what you would add to your iPhone or your Android phone. And if you ever use a Steam Deck, you know that there are buttons and cutouts and ports on it all over the place, and this has all of those cut out of it. So again, it fits it very nicely, and yet you can use all the features. It also doesn't cover up any of the cooling vents either. And they have a bundle that also comes with a snap-on front cover. And this thing looks crazy. It looks like something almost out of Cyberpunk, and it's very sturdy. You can really beat the tar out of this. Also in this bundle comes a thick aluminum case, and inside of there they include some screen protectors, there's some button caps, and more. This will cost you just $50 for the protective grip, or $80 if you want to include that hard shell. All right, now on to something that I get a ton of emails and questions about, and that is, what do I do if I have an old retro gaming console and I want to connect it to my big modern HD television? Well, I have a solution for you. I highly recommend the RetroTINK 2X or 5X. Now here's the deal. You can easily find a bunch of cheap Chinese knockoff devices on Amazon for less than $50, but I'm telling you, most of the time they are crap. They're usually cheaply made, they have bad video quality, and they're poorly supported. However, Mike Chi, the creator of the RetroTINK line of products, is a well-respected part of the retro gaming community. Everything he does is very high quality and it's meant to last, and yes, he really supports it. And here's the thing, it's very complicated to get 40 years worth of retro gaming consoles of all different types to show correctly on your big modern HD television. And so the RetroTINK 2X takes in pretty much all of the inputs you would need, including component, S-video, composite, and then it outputs that video to HDMI. It also auto-detects different regions and video formats, including NTSC, PAL, etc. And this device has the ability to turn on scan lines for an even better kind of old school experience. He sells the RetroTINK 2X on his website for $140, and I have been using them for years. They're highly recommended. And this isn't the only device he sells. He actually has a bunch of different solutions for people, depending on how many features you want, how much upscaling you want, and also how much you want to spend. So definitely check out his website, and I'll put a link down in the video description below. Which brings me to the sponsor of this video, the Console Chronicles. The Console Chronicles is a brand new book available for pre-order now until November 26th, and it'll ship in early 2024. This comes from publisher Lost & Cult, which has already put out several video game books like A Handheld History and Lock On. And I dig their mission because basically they want to preserve as much of video game history, culture, and development as possible in book form. They are all about video game preservation, something that you guys know I'm very passionate about. This 400-page hardcover book has a beautiful design. Also, there's a lot of original artwork in here, and they've got contributors from, say, video game experts, influencers, and professional writers. And they're focusing on the history of the video game home console, basically spanning 50 years from Atari and Sega to Nintendo and Sony and pretty much everything in between. There's a campaign exclusive edition that comes with a free zine, a bunch of stickers, 2 folded posters, a foiled bookmark, and you get to have your name in the book. And like I said, this is not the first time that they put a book out. They already have an Amazon #1 bestseller called A Handheld History. And the cool thing is, the Console Chronicles is meant to be the perfect duo to that. Almost like a companion piece because, again, one book is about handheld gaming and the other is all console gaming. And so if you want to learn more, I'll put a link down in the video description below, and I want to thank them for sponsoring this video. All right, getting back to the Switch now. So previously I mentioned the Satisfye grips, but I want to mention something that's a little bit different than that, and that is the Nitro Deck. Think of this as a controller replacement for the Switch, but it also functions as a better grip. Here's the thing, thumbstick drift is a real problem on the Switch. I personally experienced it, Kelsey has complained about it, Reggie has complained about it. It's a problem that happens with a lot of Switches. The big selling point of the Nitro Deck is that it uses these Hall effect thumbsticks. So technically they don't create any friction and therefore are more precise, more responsive, and they should never ever have drift. Basically, this is a much better long-term solution to that problem, and it also gives you more comfort than just a regular Switch. Now, I'll be honest, I personally actually like the Satisfye grips more when it comes to that comfort, because for me, I do have really big man hands, but I gotta be honest, the upgrade to those thumbsticks is really nice for sure. The moment that you start using this, you can tell the difference. The Nitro Deck comes in at $60 by itself, or they have a version that costs you $80 if you want to get a case too. Time for another arcade machine. This time we are going way back to Space Invaders. Here's something that is truly for the old school retro gaming fans like myself. This is a 1/4 size reproduction of the original Space Invaders arcade cabinet. And just to be clear, this is going to be significantly bigger than the Replicade, the Ghosts and Goblins one that I showed previously. But, you know, some people like the smaller size, some people prefer the larger size. As you would expect, this includes the original arcade ROM and again is fully playable. However, I have to tell you that what's super cool about this is that there's a recreation of the mirror screen, which was added here to give you a bit of depth to that gameplay. And it looks incredible in person. It's so cool. It's funny because both Nicole and William are significantly younger than I am, and so they don't really have a lot of nostalgia for Space Invaders. They obviously know about the game, they played it, but sitting them down in front of this, they were like, wow, this is pretty cool. As you would expect, all the artwork as well as the shape of the machine and the buttons all match the original arcade cab. And this comes with a rechargeable lithium-ion battery, so you don't have to have it plugged into power all the time. You can take it with you. It's very cool. This comes in at $300 to $350, depending on your region. So obviously that's not cheap and probably only for, you know, hardcore Space Invaders fans. But if you're old school like me, this is pretty cool to see. Retro Fighters is a company that continues to release retro-inspired third-party controllers that will fit into pretty much anybody's game room. Here I'm showing you 3 different models for the PC, the Switch, PlayStation series of systems, and also the GameCube. They've also got a bunch of controllers in the style of like classic Xbox and Sega controllers. And they do a lot of special edition controllers and releases, so you're going to want to take a look at their website and follow them on social media to see what's available. But for the most part, their wireless controllers run anywhere from $45 to $50, or you can get the wired USB controllers for around $20 to $30. I personally have been using their controllers in my game room for years now. I actually really love their Dreamcast controller. I think it's fantastic. And so they make a solution for pretty much anybody. So if you have a retro gaming system in your collection and you need some new controllers for it, or maybe you just want to get some new controllers for the Switch or the PC, definitely check them out. You guys know me, I have a game room and I love putting up really cool art in it, and Grid Studio has a bunch of things on my walls. They are a company that turns old technology into frameable art, and it's my understanding that it's all kind of recycled tech that no longer works. You see 2 of them here. One of them is the NES controller, and the other one is a disassembled Game Boy Pocket. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I loved knowing how things worked, especially technology. So when I was really young, I would take apart all my toys, like my Stompers and things like that, and my Atari 2600, pull it apart just to see what's going on inside. And so this company is all about that, kind of celebrating technology like this. And it's not just gaming technology either, actually. If you go to their website, they've got old iPhones and things like that broken down for people who just like seeing these things disassembled. In the past, they've been criticized for some of the quality of parts that they've used in their art, but I've been told that they have addressed all that, basically making sure that all the used parts have been cleaned before they actually go on the board and are sent to customers. Either way, I do like what they do. It's very unique, and when people see it on the wall, it always starts a conversation. Now, the prices for these things are really kind of all over the place and really depend on how expensive it is to get the original device. Typically, the controllers are around $150, but I've seen iPods, especially like old iPods, go for around $400. So just be aware there's a huge range of price there depending on what you want. All right, guys, well, that is my holiday gift guide, and I hope that there was something in there for everyone. I really tried to mix it up a little bit and hopefully hit all the different price points for you. But there are so many options for people, and maybe I missed something. Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, I want to thank you for watching my channel, thank you for subscribing, and take care.